Good morning. It's Sunday morning. Yeah, Sunday. Scale went up yesterday. 1.4 pounds up. And so that is 192.2 down. 8.8 pounds to go to goal. You know, I do like to make it dramatic, right? Every time I've approached a goal in the 6.5 years I'm doing this, it's always been this up, down approach as I get, as I approach it. But, you gotta make a little suspense, right? Make it a little bit suspenseful, right? No, that is not by choice. Trust me, it's not by choice. But it's funny how it happens. Every time I get close, it's like this little up-down thing until I get to it, So with that being said, you guys know how I do things. I'm not, the scale going up doesn't move me. So the rule in place is if it goes up 3 times, then you have to analyze what you're doing, right? And that's essentially what I always do. But it has to go 3 times in a row for those steps to be taken. 1 off, even 2 off. I have created such a world of consistency that I could gain 2 times in a row and still not make a change, so long as I know everything is as it should be, as I plan it each week. Obviously, if I know I went crazy and did something stupid, I'm going to make sure I stop doing that, but after 2 gains. But if I know that everything is on course the way it should be, I will wait for the 3rd gain to really dig in deep and figure out what is going on and what needs to change. Doing this, creating this rule for myself, has alleviated a lot of the control that the scale can have on someone. You'll notice that if you do that, and the thing is, you have to be consistent with what you're doing, because you're never going to have the confidence to watch the scale go up 3 times if you don't know you got to know in your knower, right? You got to know in your knower that you're doing everything exactly as you plan it, right? And then, on the 3rd gain in a row, you can say, okay, what needs to change here? If I'm confident that these things work, what about these things isn't working, right? But the thing is, if you never create that world of consistency where you can fully depend on the work you do, you're always going to second guess yourself. You're always going to be insecure about your decision making. You're always going to think it's you that's the problem, right? And I guess the one thing I would say to everyone who watches me and follows me and everything like that is, the minute you can remove yourself from the equation, the amount of power received in that moment is astronomical. And you will find yourself having freedom to choose, and it's also freedom from the scale, right? So you're no longer a slave to what the result is each week. You are moving forward and continuing the work you do because of the confidence you've built in yourself in the process. And so that's really the key to it all. People never believe me when I say this. Okay, so I am approaching at this point 7 years, right? So I'm over 6.5 years into this journey. In January, it'll be 7 years. People never, they may say, oh, wow, that's great, but they don't believe me in their head, right? And because that's the stigma. And all of the weigh-ins, all of the weeks in the year for the last 6.5 years has never, ever been a perfect week. I sit here and tell you that, and I'm saying that more honestly than anything I say. In 6.5 years, I have never had a perfect week. I'm standing here 191 pounds down, and I could tell you I've never had a perfect week. And this is all based on the idea of creating consistency. So the minute you could say with confidence that you are consistent in everything, and I mean everything, every aspect of this, if you are consistent in everything you do, tracking, weighing and measuring, the type of food you eat, you're not hung up on foods. You're not having issues with, attachments to foods. All of these things are part of it, right? They make you have the confidence. And I'm not saying it has to happen all at once either, because with me, it didn't happen all at once. All of the changes I made happened slow, incremental things. And I can't even tell you that every single move I made in the last 6.5 years was planned, because some of them just came off of I don't like that I have this problem. I'm going to fix it. It was just like an intuition, or like I always tell people, it wasn't like education of something that made me want to get rid of processed food in my life. It was actually during COVID that I noticed my attachment to it. Especially that was back in the time where, WW was making snacks, and, this is a 2-point granola bar and this and that. So I had changed all the processed food to what I perceived as healthy processed food, right? Because there's processed food that's the world thinks is bad for you, and then there's processed food that the world thinks is good for you. And I'm saying if it's processed food, all of it's bad for you. It doesn't matter what the marketing department created, what illusion that the marketing department of that company has portrayed. I'm saying that the food, if it's processed, is all bad for you. It's all a laboratory experiment. It's all there's hormone disruption happened because of processed food, and now all of a sudden we have an industry booming with people that are having irregular hormone issues. They all work, they all coincide together in a world where it's just about the reality of this world right now as we live here in 2025 is that as long as you die broke, the big corporate global corporations of the world did their job, right? As long as there's no wealth transfer to the next generation, they did their job, right? And part of that is the experience of making sure you remain addicted to things even though you perceive them to be healthy. And that brings me back to, I didn't like the hold that these things had on me. These little WW snacks, even though they were, considered healthy, and even though they were, oh, this is only 2 points, and no big deal, 2 points. It's a nice snack to have, right? I found myself not being able to eat just one of those 2-point snacks. And I'm sure if I could just eat one, then it would be fine. And I'm not saying that stuff like that isn't fine to eat when you need to get through to a next thing. But I'm also saying that the ingredients of those things is just as damaging to your body as the ingredients of everything you left. The junk food of the world, the devil in the grocery store. So if we never make the changes, if we never walk away and step away from it, we never realize what the hold is. And that was the fueling. I didn't like the way these things did, and I made changes because of it. And it's just that simple. I can't really tell you guys, get rid of processed food in your life, because you're not going to see the necessity. But you have to start to realize what they do to you. It's Sunday. It's the Lord's Day. It's family day. It's football Sunday. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your worship. Enjoy your football. And enjoy your Sunday. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all.